We'll now call to order the Pinehurst Village Council work session of February 24th, 2026. First item is general business, and we'll have a discussion of family care homes and their regulatory framework, and the village manager will lead us.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long this will take, but at a very high level, family care homes are a protected residential use under North Carolina General Statute. They're allowed to have up to 6 residents in it. And maybe I should kind of step back. What is a family care home? It's a home that's kind of renovated to have different residences within it. So the one that's being proposed now in the neighborhood in number 6, 6 units. It's going to be for senior people that can't necessarily take care of themselves. They'll have a live-in, maybe not fully live-in, but they'd have an on-site chef. They'd have on-site management, help take care of the people that can no longer live on their own. And so that's what these kind of uses are. There's about 2,000 across the state of North Carolina. We don't actually have much regulatory control over these at all. So we get notified by DSS when they want to have one. We send information regarding the current zoning of the area that they're proposing, but that's kind of the extent of what we're allowed to control. So the state law says that we can restrict them so that there's only one every half mile. We could do that, but it actually might make sense where you want maybe a whole cul-de-sac of these if it'd be better than having them spread out. But really, that's generally what they are. I don't know if there's questions.
Yeah, I've got a few because I wasn't aware of these until a couple weeks ago. So how many are these in the village of Pinehurst right now?
I don't have an exact number, but in the past, in recent memory, there have been 2 that have gone through the permitting process with DSS.
So we
At
only
least
have
2.
we have a handful at the most.
We
Okay,
thought
so-
there was one that was in existence but no longer is operating.
So there was one that was proposed in the Donald Ross neighborhood, but based on neighborhood feedback, they withdrew their application.
So how many?
Clarendon Gardens too in 2013.
And it withdrawn or didn't go?
They never really went. They had a neighborhood meeting and they were looking for endorsement and there was so much objection. There were a lot of people who were for it too, but they withdrew.
Sometimes it's not worth the
altogether.
fight, and you just go somewhere else.
So, well, when we find out how many there are, my other question was how many residents are in them? So we know this new one's going to have 6.
Yeah, 6 is the maximum by state law.
Okay. Well, whenever you find out how many and where they are, that'd be good to know so we know what we're dealing with. And what type of the things that the village can regulate, who's doing that? Who sort of administers that oversight?
Yeah, so the planning department, so the applicant will file a letter of intent. So we'll receive that and we'll just confirm that it's in the correct zoning. So if it's in residential, we can't prohibit it, so it would be allowed there. And then we would send that back to DCDHHS, and then they manage the application process and making sure all the licenses that are in place. And then
Moore County does that.
the state does.
Oh, the state does. I thought I saw.
Department of
What did I read?
Housing and Health and Housing, I forget what DHS stands
Okay,
for.
but yeah, okay, because at the very last line in the memo says, any operational concerns would be directed to NCDHSS or the County Department of Social Services, which are responsible for licensing and oversight. So I think I'd be curious where in the county this is.
Yeah, so it's handled by DHHS. If there were like concerns with something that might be going on in the house, we could call out to the Department of Social Services at the county. But as far as regulating the actual home itself, that's at the state level.
Now, does somebody or an entity, this company, they'll purchase a home first and then go through this process? Or do they first are an applicant, and then if they get a green light, they purchase the home, or rent? How does this work?
I mean, I'm sure that's up to their own business model. They probably put an option to purchase on it, contingent on them getting the approvals.
Like I said, I was unfamiliar with, that there were any in the village of Pinehurst, but it sounds like there's a clear regulatory structure around this statewide. I have not had anybody ever mention one to me in either a complimentary or a complaining way. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I will say that I got, since this has kind of been in the news a little bit recently, I got a complaint that, this sounds like a commercial business being operated in a residential zone. And I said that the state sees this as a residential use in a residential zone, and that's as simple as it can get.
Questions?
Kevin, do you have any sense for sentiment in number 6?
You betcha I do.
How surprising.
This came out of the blue for us, too. When a couple of concerned residents came to me, Keith and I set up a meeting with Aegis, in the owner-operator, and their head of clinical care. They're both RNs, have long history in senior home care. Saw a market opportunity for a kind of a residential extension to their typical home care business, and purchased this house on 9 Sedgwick Lane. The sentiment of, and so anyway, we had a long discussion. I think these are good-hearted people trying to do the right thing. The residents in number 6 are sympathetic to the needs of people who need help, but they felt blindsided by this because there was no prior notice that that this was the intended use of the home. And the home had sat on the market for quite a while, and then there was a flurry of more renovation, which caused people to wonder what was going on. And then word began to trickle out that it was a family care home, and then people started coming to Keith and I and asking what's going on. So we're going to have a meeting with the owner-operators and the near neighbors at the home week after next to answer questions.
Is there an on-site person, a professional there during this? So
24/7, there'll be a care provider.
Care provider.
There's also a professional chef that'll be preparing their meals. There'll be a med tech who is giving out the meds. The residents will not be allowed to walk independently in the neighborhood. They'll always be accompanied by a caregiver for everyone's safety. And here's where the sidewalk sort of comes in handy. The sidewalk was right by the house, and this could be,
Right.
beneficial.
Worked out well.
But I think, again, there's not a lot of blowback. There's concern, but there's not a lot of blowback. And the main concern is that, yeah, it is a commercial business that's being operated in our residential neighborhood, and no one told us about this. And if they had come to us ahead of time, I think it could have reduced some of the concerns.
Playing devil's advocate for a moment, there are certain types of businesses that are allowed to operate in residential neighborhoods, typically those where a customer does not take a product away, is a simple way of saying it. I could be an attorney and operate my law office out of my house.
Yeah, it usually depends on number of visitors, things like that. If you're creating a product that's sold online or something, yeah, it's typically not an issue.
So there are existing exceptions in our zoning.
Yeah.
It just seems to be a reputable operator. They have experience in this.
2,000 of them, they must be.
Yeah,
They don't have 2,000. This is a local owner operator.
Oh.
This is only their second family care home. They have one in operation in Southern Pines.
Okay, so it's a small business. Okay.
Yeah, and John, I mean, you said commercial, but as the state regulations are clear that this is a residential use that just happens to have an on-site caretaker.
and from which someone is actually making money, but that's not how the state has regulated it.
Is there a, how do I describe this? Do the residents that will be in this house, they have to have a certain level of abilities and self-care, or how does that work?
That's an excellent question. As we spoke to the operators, they're putting in a sprinkler fire suppression system so that they can have non-ambulatory patients in there. And their commitment is to take someone in and see them through the end of life in that one facility without having to move them to a skilled nursing facility. They're committing to these families that they'll scale up the care as needs dictated. It's quite, really quite something.
But it's just, it's sort of a small nursing home to a degree. I'm thinking, I remember when my mom went into a facility, I know it was 3 stories, but each floor had a different level of the health of that individual. Someone who could take care of themselves, one who needed some help, and one who had to really be watched 24 hours or something. And this is more, seems like everybody is within the same parameters of one another, so they're in a group living type situation.
And I think that's a typical model for so-called congregate care facilities, that you can have independent living and assisted living and skilled nursing all on the same campus, and you can progress there. But
Yes. This is different.
we're staying in one place, we're not moving you anywhere. And looking down,
Stated intent.
looking down the road, this is something upon which the SAC may opine, that they think it's a good thing, or there should be more of them, or who knows? That would possibly be the view of professionals with experience in the field.
Doug, I know the state regulates this, and we have some regulatory authority. Is there anything we, as a village, need to do or state regarding this topic? What's your recommendation?
I don't think there is anything we need to do. We follow the state regulations, so Kevin did bring up, the neighbors might have felt a little surprised that they didn't know it was going in. I'm not sure of a way to avoid that, and until the owner-operator expresses interest in doing it, I don't know if there's any other way to not make that happen.
The only thing that can, I think, cause a problem if there is a problem. I mean, otherwise it's just going on, life goes on, unless there's some problem that occurs, then people will be focused on the problem. But if it functions in a way that's sort of anticipated, it doesn't strike me as a problem.
One concern was traffic, parking, vehicles. And this facility will have a transport vehicle for healthcare appointments and things, but that vehicle will be housed in Southern Pines and not on site at this house. So,
Kevin, what was the name of the company?
Aegis.
AEGIS? Okay. All right, so DHHS on their website has a list of all of these homes listed by county. In Moore County, they list 2, one of which is owned by Aegis. So Aegis owns one at 125 Longleaf Road in Southern Pines. And the other one that's listed in Moore County is actually part of Quail Haven. Apparently they have something called the Rosemary Cottage, which may fit this definition. So it's seemingly only one already owned by the same company that you're talking about, only in our county.
I want to make sure I heard you. There's 2 in all of Moore County.
2 in Moore County, one
be
is
number
owned by
3.
Quail Haven.
Okay.
No, just 2.
But you're saying operated by this company?
Well, yes.
You said there was one in Southern Pines.
Well, forgive me, I missed a page. So there are 4 total in Moore County.
Okay.
There is one of which is owned by Quail Haven, 2 of which is owned by Quail Haven. Then there is one called the Savannah Family Care Home, in Southern Pines on Carlisle Street, and then one which is called the Aegis Family Care Home Longleaf, which is also in Southern Pines. So Southern Pines has two.
We went by the Aegis facility in Southern Pines, and it's in a nice residential neighborhood. You'd never know that it was any type of special use.
Right.
Signage, no nothing.
You said you're having a meeting coming up again with your folks in Six or the immediate neighbors or whatever. Okay.
We're going to meet at the house, get a tour of the house, and allow them to ask questions of the owner-operators.
Oh, great.
The other question that comes up is, the residents are asking, how are my home values affected by this? And I've been talking to a number of realtors. There's not a lot of data on this, but the sense is that this is not going to have any negative impact on home value in the area.
Well, the impact would come with someone just not wanting to buy a home next to one if they were to go sell it. I think that less of a value and more of a lost buyer, I think, is probably a way to think about it.
Other thoughts? I mean, I don't know. Sounds like we're doing what we should be doing, and we're operating within the law, and just stay alert.
The news of this got all the gulls off the buoys, and I'm just trying to get them back settled down again.
Interesting.
Pretty good at that.
Well, thank you, Doug and Kevin in particular here for this education, and we'll see what's next. You can let us know as things progress in your neighborhood.
Certainly will.
Thank you. All right. I think we've covered that item, and now we go to library construction update with Carlton, the town's librarian. Go ahead.
Doug kind of stole the thunder. He's giving you the update. We're building a new library.
We didn't know that.
It may seem like we're kind of at a stall, but I do want to assure you that we are continuing to plug forward, kind of laying the groundwork to make sure that things are smooth throughout the process. So I want to walk you through the timeline of where we're at so far. The 26th of last month, site plan was approved, and we had the groundbreaking ceremony on the 27th. On the 9th of February, we held a pre-construction meeting with the contractor, the architect, our internal staff, public utilities, our technical review committee. So it's all of the players that have a part in the overall construction of the building. We kind of laid out expectations, made sure we knew who each other were and who the points of contact were to deal with the project and make sure it is a smooth project. On the 10th of February, the building permit was issued. So since that time, they've just been reviewing materials, making sure that they meet the specifications. They're supposed to submit some of that back to the county for a sewer line that will be relocated to make sure it meets county specifications. We received notification today that they were issued the permit for the temporary use and job, the on-site job, the office trailer. So kind of the next steps with that are we'll get a schedule of the events, what will happen throughout the entire progress of the library construction. You'll start to see on-site work and equipment mobilization. I would expect that in the next month. So the next report next month will be more substantial than this one, but that's kind of where we're at now. Things are still plugging along. We're just trying to make sure that we're on top of things, and I'm sure Oakley Collier is tired of hearing from me.
Well, I do think once the bulldozers and whatever are there, in all likelihood, there'll be a lot of people that drive by, curious. Parents taking their kids by, that's where the new library is going to be, and that type of stuff. So it'll be very visual to our residents. So we just need to keep that in mind as progress progresses.
Right.
It's because we're in a fishbowl a little bit on it.
It will
it's
be
fair.
much,
We
it'll
are
be
ex-
much easier to see the progress once there's equipment on
Right,
site. It's kind of like this,
absolutely.
this is the slow part, just like when the building is there and they're doing the interior work. You can't see things happening, but it is still going on.
Yeah, I don't, people have other questions on this topic?
Not knowing anything about how you do this, I'm a little surprised they haven't started site clearing. That's different than kind of digging up pipes and what have you, but
Part of what they submitted today for the construction trailer is how they'll store equipment on site, and the conflict is the sewer line. The county sewer line is fragile, and part of the project is we will relocate that so it doesn't go through the middle of the parking lot. We're gonna take it off-site and reroute that. That was a change on our part, so that's kind of, the slowdown has been because of us at this point. I expect in the next month, once it starts, I think it will move fast.
you don't want to start ripping trees out if there are sewer lines that need to be relocated, so.
Correct.
Carlton, how big's the site? How many acres? General, or just guess?
It's, well, the less than 2 is what they're disturbing.
Less than 2 acres, okay.
With the parking?
That's the disturbed area, so, I mean, the lot's bigger, but we're only disturbing
Okay.
2 acres.
Yeah, I know somewhere we had a fact sheet on it. I can't remember. It just seemed smaller all of a sudden. Okay. Well, I don't have anything else. I think we'll obviously get monthly updates from you and whatever is necessary to add to a weekly report. Keep us,
Carlton said he'd be happy to give a report every meeting, and I
Yeah.
said, no, that's not necessary.
We're gonna do Slides
Oh,
and pictures
once a
from
month is
moving
okay.
forward.
Yeah. And,
Be much more riveting and more,
right, I'm
More
sure it will
visual.
be. Okay, well, I don't have any other questions for Carlton. Does anybody have anything else? If not, if there's somebody has some motion to make.
Move to adjourn the work session.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Good night, Alice. We are out of here.